All right, let's dive in. This time, you guys have really sent us down a rabbit hole with these articles about SpaceX and their plans for Mars.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
We've got their website laying out the whole mission, and this really interesting article from Live Science all about setting up a Martian zoo. Animals in space, can you believe it?
It's amazing to think about, how quickly science fiction is becoming, just science.
Exactly. It's not just fantasy anymore. These plans are based on real tech, and they're not shying away from the challenges.
Yep, not at all.
So, okay, SpaceX's vision, right. Elon Musk has this quote. He says, becoming a spacefaring civilization is about feeling optimistic about the future.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. But why Mars? Why is that the spot for humanity's next chapter?
Well, it's not just about it being the coolest planet, right? Mars actually checks a lot of boxes for us. For one thing, it's relatively close to Earth.
Yeah, that makes sense. Closer than Jupiter.
Right. So travel and communication is less of a headache.
Not exactly a weekend trip, but still more manageable.
Exactly. And more importantly, Mars gets enough sunlight. Enough for plants, I mean.
Oh, interesting.
It's less intense than Earth's, but it's enough to, potentially power a whole ecosystem on Mars. Wow. And then there's the atmosphere. It's thin, but it's mostly carbon dioxide. Does that sound familiar?
It's like nature is giving us a head start. I mean, plants need carbon dioxide, right?
Exactly. For photosynthesis.
So theoretically, you could compress the Martian atmosphere and create a breathable environment, even grow food.
It's definitely not as simple as plugging in an air compressor, of course.
No, I guess not.
We're talking about terraforming a whole planet here.
Yeah.
And that comes with a whole bunch of engineering challenges we haven't even begun to solve, really. But it's a fascinating possibility.
It is. And then there's gravity, right? Martian gravity.
Yes. About 38% of Earth's.
Can you imagine? I'd be jumping over rovers.
Right. Imagine the sports. But seriously, that reduced gravity, it would have a huge impact on us, on our bodies, I mean.
Yeah.
We're just starting to understand how living in that kind of gravity long-term, how it might affect, bone density, muscle mass, even human development.
Wow, I hadn't thought of that.
Think about kids born on Mars.
Yeah, that's a whole other experience. But hey, at least the day-night cycle isn't too different.
That's true. The Martian day is only a little bit longer than an Earth day.
That's got to help with adjusting. Speaking of adjusting, we have to talk about how we even get there, right?
Right.
The vehicle, SpaceX's Starship.
It's a beast.
It's designed to be the world's most powerful launch vehicle. And get this, it can carry over 100 metric tons of cargo to Mars. And here's the kicker, it's reusable.
Reusability. That's the key to making space travel, sustainable.
Yeah.
And cost-effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Think about it. No more throwing away these expensive rocket parts after one use.
Right, that's huge.
It's like, imagine if for every flight across the Atlantic, you had to build a whole new plane. It just wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't. So SpaceX's website, they break down this Mars mission into 6 steps, and it all relies on Starship being reusable.
Yeah.
So first, Starship launches. It gets help from this super heavy booster.
Right. And then that detaches and comes back to Earth, ready for the next launch.
Talk about efficiency.
Right.
Then Starship just chills in Earth orbit, waiting for a rendezvous with a tanker spacecraft.
It's like a pit stop in space.
So cool.
Yeah. The tanker it's basically another Starship, but it's all fuel, no fancy stuff. And it fills up Starship for the trip to Mars.
Why not just launch with all the fuel?
Because on-orbit refueling, it's crucial. It means Starship can carry a full payload of cargo and people all the way to Mars.
Without all the extra fuel weight.
Exactly.
Smart. Okay, so Starship's full of fuel, starts heading to Mars, but then landing. That's got to be the scariest part, right?
Definitely one of the biggest hurdles, yeah.
Landing this massive thing on Mars is not a walk in the park.
It's not. Starship's going to hit the Martian atmosphere super fast, creating a lot of heat, lots of aerodynamic forces too.
Intense.
And it has to, deal with all that while also slowing down enough for a safe landing.
There's a video on the SpaceX website, a simulation, that shows how Starship does this. Using its heat shield and engines, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's worth watching to get a sense of just how complex this all is. The Martian atmosphere, it's a lot thinner than Earth's.
Right, less friction to slow down.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've landed safely. Now, who else is coming with us? Who are the pioneers sharing this new world?
That's where this Live Science article comes in. And this is where things get really interesting. It's all about creating a Martian menagerie, like a carefully chosen group of animals that'll help build a sustainable ecosystem.
Makes sense. We can't live in a bubble forever, right? We need a real ecosystem for food, for waste recycling, maybe even like company.
Exactly. But Mars throws us a curveball, reduced gravity.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We don't know how that will affect animals long term, how they'll develop,
So which ones are the best candidates to be like Martian colonists?
Smaller animals probably have an advantage, and aquatic life.
Okay.
And get this, fish might actually be ideal livestock in space.
Hold on, fish on Mars.
Think about it. They're really efficient at turning food into protein. They produce less waste than land animals, and the lower gravity, well, it wouldn't affect them as much since they're in water.
Martian sushi bars in the future. It's kind of wild to think about.
Maybe. It's not as crazy as it sounds, though. There's this program, Lunar Hatch. They're looking into shipping fish eggs to space.
Wow.
Imagine like fresh, Martian-raised fish.
It's definitely different from farm to table, that's for sure.
It is, but it's a start. And it's not just fish. Insects, too. Specifically crickets.
Crickets.
Yeah, they're super efficient at turning feed into protein. They don't need much space, and they could even help manage waste. Plus, they're a backup food source.
Crickets. I guess I better get used to the idea. But this Mars ecosystem, with fish farms and cricket colonies, it's starting to sound, well, pretty unique. What other surprises does this Martian menagerie have for us?
Well, there's one creature that really stood out to me, the tardigrade.
Oh, the tardigrades. They can survive, like, anything.
It's amazing. Space, extreme temperatures, radiation. It's like they have superpowers.
They really do. Wait, you know what's crazy? There are already tardigrades on the moon.
There are.
Did they hitch a ride on a rocket or something?
Not exactly. They were part of a mission that, it crashed on the moon.
Oh, no.
But here's the thing. Even after a crash landing and, being exposed to that lunar environment, scientists think some of them might still be alive.
They really live up to their reputation. So resilient.
Yeah. And studying how they survive, it could give us valuable insights. Insights into how life can exist in extreme conditions. Imagine if we could use what we learned from them to protect humans or other organisms from radiation in space.
That would change everything. Okay, so we've got fish, crickets, maybe indestructible tardigrades. It's a pretty interesting mix. But what about plants? We talked about using the Martian atmosphere to grow things, but what would a Martian garden even look like? What could grow there?
That's a great question, and it's one scientists are working on right now. But before we get into the specifics of, like, Martian botany, let's take a step back. Think about the bigger picture. Plants are the foundation of any ecosystem.
So they're not just for looks?
No, not at all. They provide food, oxygen, they regulate the atmosphere, they're essential.
Right, they're how it all works.
Exactly. And as we've said, the Martian atmosphere, with all that carbon dioxide, could actually be a good thing for growing certain plants.
So we could have Martian photosynthesis.
Exactly. But like everything else with Mars, it's not that simple.
Of course not.
Creating a Martian greenhouse, one that can actually grow Earth plants, would mean overcoming a lot of hurdles. We need to think about light, temperature swings, the soil, nutrients, and then there's the dust.
Yeah, the Martian dust, isn't it, like, corrosive?
It is. And incredibly fine and abrasive. Martian dust storms, they can cover the entire planet, and that dust would be really bad for plants.
I can imagine.
Damaged leaves, clogged systems, it could even mess with photosynthesis.
Yikes. So how do we protect our Martian gardens from that?
That's where we get creative.
Oh.
Enclosed structures, maybe like pressurized domes or even underground greenhouses. We could also try developing plants that are resistant to dust, genetically engineered.
So it's not as easy as just like bringing seeds and hoping for the best.
Not quite, no. It's about engineering and botanical innovation. Lots of research ahead before we start planting those Martian victory gardens.
It sounds like it. But at least that research is already underway, right?
It is. Scientists around the world are experimenting, trying to grow plants in Martian conditions.
That's good to hear. What's showing promise so far? Any Martian orchids?
Not orchids yet, but early research suggests that some algae, some bacteria, and fungi, they could do well on Mars. They're tough, adaptable, and they could help enrich the soil, get those nutrients cycling. They're like the pioneers.
Paving the way for the rest of us. So starting with the basics makes sense. But eventually, we'll want more than just algae and bacteria, right? What about food crops? What will Martian settlers actually eat?
Well, some studies have shown that, believe it or not, potatoes and lettuce can grow in Martian-like soil.
Martian French fries and salads? I'm in.
Right. And it's not just about replicating Earth crops either. We can use new farming techniques, like vertical farming.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It lets us grow crops in stacked layers so we can get a lot of food from a small space.
I can picture these huge vertical farms all lit up, growing tons of fresh produce.
It's a pretty cool image, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then there's hydroponics and aeroponics, where you grow plants without soil, just using water and nutrients.
Wow.
They're really efficient, perfect for a place like Mars, where resources are limited.
It's amazing how we can use technology to, solve the challenges of growing food on another planet. It's like science fiction becoming real.
It really is. And the best part is, the stuff we learn from Mars, it can help us back here on Earth too.
Oh yeah, how so?
Imagine using these techniques to grow food more efficiently in, say, deserts or in cities.
That's a win-win. So, okay, we've got this potential ecosystem coming together. Fish, crickets, tardigrades, plants, it's a real community. But thinking bigger, what's the long-term vision for humanity on Mars? A small outpost? Or like a Martian city?
The goal is pretty amazing, actually, to create a self-sustaining Martian civilization, one that doesn't need Earth.
That's ambitious.
It is. It means developing all kinds of industries, infrastructure, energy, manufacturing, healthcare, education, even government, building a whole new society.
It sounds daunting, but exciting too. What would it be like to be a part of that? What kind of society would we create? How would we make sure future generations are okay on a planet so different from our own?
Those are the questions we need to be asking. The choices we make now will shape the future on Mars for generations to come.
It's a huge responsibility, but a huge opportunity too. We could create a society that learns from our mistakes on Earth, one that's more sustainable and fair.
It's about redefining what it means to be human, exploring new ways to govern ourselves, to organize society, a society that values diversity, inclusivity, and the well-being of everyone.
That's a powerful vision.
It is. And it's not just a dream anymore. It's something we could achieve.
This whole conversation has been a roller coaster.
It has.
From picturing myself bouncing around in low gravity to imagining these incredible Martian farms.
It's been an amazing exploration, hasn't it? The challenges and possibilities of, becoming a multiplanetary species. And it's incredible how these things that seem like science fiction, they're being researched, they're being planned for.
One thing that really struck me going through these articles is how much collaboration is involved.
Yeah.
SpaceX is leading the way, but they're working with scientists and engineers from everywhere.
Absolutely. It's a global effort. It goes beyond countries. It unites us in this goal, this push to explore space and build a permanent home beyond Earth.
It really shows that even with all our differences here on Earth, we're all the same species. We face the same challenges, and we share that same drive to explore.
And as we move into this new frontier, it's a chance to look back, to learn from our past, and to build a Martian society that reflects our best selves.
You're right, it's not just about escaping Earth's problems. It's about building something better, a society that values sustainability, equality, maybe even new ways of governing that we haven't thought of yet.
Imagine a society where taking care of resources is the top priority, where energy is clean and plentiful, and where diversity is not just accepted, but celebrated. It's a chance to start over, to create a society that truly values everyone's well-being.
This journey to Mars, it's not just about technology, it's about social innovation too. It's about pushing the limits of what it means to be human and redefining our relationship with the environment.
Exactly. As we talk about building a new civilization on Mars, we're forced to confront the big questions. What really matters? What values will guide us? What kind of world do we want to create for future generations, not just on Mars, but here on Earth too?
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about. It's sparked our curiosity, challenged our ideas, and left us feeling, a little bit in awe of the future. The future of humanity out there in the stars.
It's a future that we have the power to shape. Our choices today, the research we do, the values we choose, these will decide how our journey beyond Earth unfolds.
So as we wrap up our look at multiplanetary life, we encourage you to keep asking those big questions, keep dreaming big, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Who knows, maybe one day you'll be sipping Martian coffee, looking up at 2 moons in the sky, and thinking about the incredible journey that brought humanity to this new world.
The future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we build. And humanity's destiny is not just on Earth, but out there among the stars.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of multiplanetary life. Until next time, keep exploring and keep reaching for the stars.
Welcome back, everyone. We've talked about getting to Mars and some of the surprising contenders for a Martian ecosystem. But we can't forget about the real stars of the show, the plants.
Right. We touched on using that Martian atmosphere to, grow things, but I'm curious what kind of plants could actually make it in that harsh environment. It's not exactly Earth, right?
It's definitely a challenge building a Martian greenhouse.
Yeah.
But you know what? Scientists are already working on it.
They are. That's cool.
Yeah, they're running experiments, simulating Martian conditions, really pushing the limits of what plants can handle.
So what have they found? Any, Martian orchids or something?
Not quite orchids yet. But early research is pointing to certain types of algae, bacteria, and fungi as being pretty well suited to Mars.
Okay, interesting.
They're tough, they're adaptable, and they can really help get that Martian soil ready, get those nutrient cycling. Think of them as the pioneers.
Building the foundation. Makes sense to start with the basics. But, we'll need more than just algae and bacteria eventually, right? What about food crops? What are Martian settlers going to eat?
Well, there's been some promising research showing that certain earth crops, like potatoes and lettuce, can actually grow in Martian-like soil.
Wait, so Martian French fries and salads could be a thing?
Maybe. And it's not just about replicating what we have on Earth either. We can also get creative with farming techniques, like vertical farming.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Stacking those farms, right.
Exactly. Growing in layers to maximize space.
I can almost picture it, these towering vertical farms all lit up with tons of fresh produce growing inside. What would it be like, to walk through a Martian farm, surrounded by all that greenery in this stark landscape?
It's a pretty cool image, right? And then there's hydroponics and aeroponics. That's where you grow plants without soil, just using water and nutrients.
Wow, no soil at all?
Nope. Incredibly efficient, which makes them perfect for a place like Mars where resources are precious.
That's incredible. It's amazing how we're using technology to tackle the challenges of growing food on another planet.
It really is a testament to human ingenuity. And the coolest thing is, what we learn from Mars, it can benefit us back here on Earth, too.
Oh, yeah? In what way?
Imagine using these techniques to grow food more efficiently in places like deserts or even in cities.
Now, that's what I call a win-win. So we've got some potential solutions for food on Mars, but zooming out a bit, what's the big picture goal here? A small outpost or a full-blown Martian city?
Well, the ultimate goal is pretty ambitious. The vision is to create a self-sustaining Martian civilization, one that can thrive independently of Earth.
Wow, that's huge. What would that even look like?
It would mean developing a whole range of industries and infrastructure, energy production, manufacturing, healthcare, education, even governance. Basically, building a new society from scratch.
It's almost overwhelming to think about. What would it be like to be a part of that? Building a new civilization? What kind of society would we create? How do we make sure future generations are okay on a planet that's, so different from Earth?
Those are the key questions we need to be grappling with, because the choices we make today, they will shape the future of humanity on Mars for generations to come. It's not just about surviving on Mars, it's about thriving and about creating a society that reflects, our best values.
It's like we have this opportunity, this clean slate, to do things differently, to learn from the mistakes we've made on Earth, build a society that's sustainable, fair, equal.
Exactly. It's a chance to redefine what it means to be human, to explore new ways of governing ourselves, organizing society, a society that values diversity, inclusivity, and the well-being of everyone.
It's a powerful thought, this idea of building a new society on Mars, a better society. It really makes you think about what's important.
It does, doesn't it? It's not just science fiction anymore. It's a real possibility. And that's pretty incredible.
It is. This whole conversation, this deep dive, it's been quite a ride. From picturing myself bouncing around in low gravity to these Martian farms.
From the nitty-gritty of Martian dust to the big picture of a whole Martian civilization. It's been a wild ride.
It has. A lot of information, a lot to think about. It's left me feeling, a little bit in awe, I think, thinking about the future, about humanity out there among the stars.
And as we venture further into the cosmos, we're going to face new challenges, new opportunities. But it's that human spirit, that drive to explore, to innovate, that's going to guide us.
And that's what makes it so exciting. This journey into the unknown, it's a test, it's a challenge, but it's also a chance to reach for something truly extraordinary. We'll be right back after a short break to wrap up our exploration of multiplanetary life and delve into some final thoughts. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? I mean, from picturing ourselves bouncing around on Mars to those amazing vertical farms. It really has. This whole idea of making humanity multiplanetary, it's full of challenges, but the possibilities are just incredible.
You know, one thing that really hit me reading these articles is the sheer amount of teamwork involved.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just SpaceX, right? It's scientists and engineers, people from all over the world working together.
It's a global effort for sure. It goes beyond borders, you know. We're all united by this goal, this drive to explore space and build a permanent home out there.
It's a good reminder that even with all our differences here on Earth, we're all humans facing the same big questions and sharing that same urge to explore.
And as we venture into this new frontier, it gives us this unique opportunity to look back, to learn from our mistakes, and maybe create a Martian society that's, well, better.
It's not about running away from Earth's problems, right? It's about building something new, something that prioritizes, I don't know, sustainability, equality, maybe even new ways of governing ourselves that we haven't even imagined yet.
Imagine a society where resource management is key, where energy is clean, and where diversity is celebrated, not just tolerated. It's a chance to hit the reset button, to create a society that truly values everyone.
This whole journey to Mars, it's not just about the technology, is it? It's about social innovation too, pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human, changing our relationship with our environment.
Exactly. And as we think about building this new civilization on Mars, we have to ask ourselves some tough questions. What are our guiding principles? What kind of world do we want to build? Not just for Mars, but for Earth too.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about. I mean, it's sparked our curiosity, it's challenged our ideas, and it's left us with this sense of awe at the possibilities that are out there.
It's a future we can shape. The choices we make, the research we do, the values we choose, all of it will determine the course of this incredible journey.
So as we wrap up our exploration of multiplanetary life, we want to encourage you to keep asking those big questions, keep dreaming, and keep pushing those boundaries. Who knows, maybe someday you'll be on Mars, sipping Martian coffee, looking up at 2 moons in the sky, and thinking back on this incredible journey that brought humanity to this new world.
The future isn't something that just happens. It's something we build. And humanity's destiny isn't confined to Earth. It's out there among the stars.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of multiplanetary life. Until next time, keep exploring and keep reaching for the stars.